Welcome to our tutorial on statistics. I'm Teacher Walton, and today we're going to be looking at our worksheet questions. But before we do so, let us just get into God's word in John 15:11, which says, I have told you this so that my joy may be in you and that your joy may be complete. So I just want to encourage you to let the joy of the Lord be your strength. Be enthusiastic about what you are doing today. Don't let anything cause you to become depressed. Continue to trust in God and let the joy of the Lord fill your heart. So question one, what does question one says? We are given some raw data there, some marks obtained by students in a math quiz, and we are supposed to complete a tally, which will give us our frequency and the rest of the information. So let's look at marks. For 2, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to put on our tally here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this will be our frequency. And our marks by our frequency, which is our F by X, will give us our final column 5 by 2, 10. Let's go with 3 now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, it should be 5 plus that 1 will give us 6. 6 by 3, 18. Number 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 fours, 20. How many 5s are there? I'm seeing 1, 2, 3. Only 3 5s. 1, 2, 3. 5 multiplied by 3, 15. 6 is 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 by 6, 24. 7s. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 sevens. 1, 2, 3, 4. 7 fours, 28. And let's go to 8s, right? There's 1, 2 8s. 1, 2. Right, so we have a choice here. I'm seeing there's a number 9, which is not accounted for in our table. We can work with the information requested from the table, and we're going to continue with answering the rest of the question, right? So we'll just ignore this number 9 here for the time being. So let's see what we get. So we're going to find what is the modal mark. The modal mark refers to that mark with the highest frequency. So we're going to look at our frequency values here, and we notice number 6 is the highest figure, and therefore the modal mark will be 3. Use the table to find the mean mark. Okay, so to do that, let's finish up this last one. 8 by 2 would give us 16. And the formula for finding the mean is we're going to take the sum of F multiplied by X, and then we're going to divide that by our total frequency. Right? So let's work on that. So what do? Let's write the formula down at the side of the table. So we want to find our mean mark. Let's call that X bar. And the formula for that is the sum of F by X divided by the sum of F. So we're going to total these numbers here, and we can use our our calculator for the second one, but let's add up this. 5 and 6 is 11, and 5, 16, and 4, 20, and 3, 23, 23, and 6, 29. Double check. 4 and 2, 6, and 4, 10, and 8, 18, and 6, 24, and 5, 29. Okay. And F multiplied by X. Right, F multiplied by X calculator. Let's add up all those scores. Right, let's go back here. Let's try that again, see if it comes up. Okay, let's put it on the right hand side. Okay, so we're going to add 10 plus 18 plus 20 plus 15 plus 24 plus 28 plus 16. Right, I'm getting 1 to the 1. One, 3, 1. Okay, so to find our mean, we're going to take 131 divided by 29, and that will give us our 131 divided by 29. Right, 4.5. 4.5, 4.51 thereabouts. All right, let's see. One to the 1 divided by 29. 4.52. Okay, so that's our mean mark, right? Around 4.5, 4.52. All right, so just in case you would have taken into account that number 9 up there, where we omitted it from the data, if you had included it in your data, let's see what your answer will look like. So if you inserted your number 9 here and only put 1 here, then this will take us to 30. Right, that will be the total. It will take us to 30. Bear that in mind. And the frequency, of course, will be 1. So the F by X will give us 9. So if we were looking with that mark of 9, we will have to carry this figure up to 1 to the 1 plus 9, which will be 140. And then we'll be dividing by 30. Right? So this will give us 4 3s are 12 and 2/3. Right, so notice how including that 9 would carry up our mean to 4.67. Right, so whichever working you did, that will be the corresponding answers, right? So let's look at the last part. What is the probability that a student selected at random scored a mark of at least 6? Now, at least 6 means 6 and more. 6 and more. If I say I want at least $3 for my pen, it means that I want $3 and more. So at least 6 means 6 and more. At most 6 means 6 and less. Okay, so let's answer the question. So if a student scores at least 6, let's see what part of the table we'll be focusing on. We'll be looking at the frequency corresponding to those figures. So again, if we use the first set of data, ignoring the 9, we have the likelihood or the probability of a student scoring at least 6. We'll add up these figures here. So it'll be 4 plus 4, 8 plus 2, 10. So the probability of a student scoring at least 6 would be 10 out of 29. That's if we're looking at our first set of data, ignoring the 9. If we include it, then we'll have to include this additional person here who scored a 9. So that will be 4 and 4, 8, and 2, 10 plus 1, 11. And then, of course, the total number of persons will jump to 30. So we can go with one or the other, depending on how you work your solutions. Okay, so that'll take care of question number 1. Let's look at question number 2. Right, so we given some data on persons' heights, and we ask again to complete the table as shown. Okay, so this one, you are working not with an on-group frequency distribution. You have classes or groups in this table. So this is called a group frequency distribution. And we are to find, in this case, first and foremost, our midpoints. So let's work out our midpoint values with the help of the calculator. Remember how to find midpoint? You would take your class limits and add them together and divide it by 2. What are our class limits? So let's see, in the first class here, 101 to 110, those two figures represent our lower class limit and our upper class limit. So let's add them together. 101 plus 110. And we're going to divide by 2. Right, 105.5. So we'll see a pattern occurring after we do about a few of them, and we'll be able to just complete the table, right? So this is 105.5. Let's look at the next one. That'll be 231, 111 to 120, 231, right? So 231 divided by 2 will give us 115.5. When we add up these two numbers, we're going to get 251. And when we divide that by 2, we're going to get 125.5. So we notice that the class midpoints for each class or group increases by 10. Let's see if that happens with the next one. That one will give us 271. When we divide it by 2, we get 135.5. So once our class width does not change, then we're going to have the same increase as we go along, right? So the class width doesn't change. How do we find the class width? We subtract the two numbers here, the two limits. So the class width will be 9. So in each case, it is 9. So we can continue to add 10. This one will be 145.5, 155.5, and so on. Okay. So for completeness sake, let us just add up the values here. 8 and 18, that'll give us 26. So we're going to add 26 plus 12 plus 34 plus 10 plus 22 plus 6. Our total is 110. So we have the sum of the frequency here equals 110. Okay, now this f multiplied by x, notice x is now an estimate for our class midpoint and f is the frequency. So we need to multiply these sets of values here. Okay, so let's see how these figures work out. 105 multiplied by 8. $105 multiplied by 8, well, that's 840. Let's put that in. That's 840. 18 by 115.5. 18 multiplied by 115.5. Right, so I'm going to perform the multiplication, take note of the answers, and then I'll just write them in. So this is 2079. Right, let's go to the next one. 125.5 by 12. 1506. 135.5 by 34. 4607. 145.5 by 10 would be 1455. 155.5 by 22. 3421. And 165.5 by 6. 993. Okay, so let's put in these figures in our tables and write in those values. So this one was 15. No, this one was 2079. 1506. 4607. 1455. 3421. And 993. Now, I'm sure the rest of the question will ask us to find the mean, right? So let's get all the information beforehand. And of course, we'll just use the formula afterwards. So let's sum the f of x values. So to 993, we're going to add 840. 993 is the last value in the table. Okay, let's work backwards. We're going to add 3421. Then we're going to add, right, 1455. Then we can add 4607 to that. Then 1506, 2079, and 840. 14,901. Right, let's just double check that. Working from the top, come down now. All right, so 14901. And of course, we're going to divide that by 110, which is the sum of f, to get an estimated value for our mean, right? So that'll be 135.5. Okay, so let me just complete that table, write up the formulas, and take note of the answer. So when we added up that figure, we get 14,901. So the sum here of f by x is 14,901. Okay, so I'm saying if you're asked to find the mean, you're going to take the sum of f by x and divide it by the sum of f, which is what we just did. 14,901 divided by 110, giving us 135.5 to one decimal place. Okay, so let's see if that's what the rest of the question wanted. Right, so we copy and completed the table. Again, the modal class, identify the modal class interval, right? So we're looking at the table and see which one corresponded to the highest frequency. Let's go back up and check that. Right, so the modal class, the one with the highest frequency seems to be this one. So this will be the modal class interval here, 131 to 140. Right, 131. Right, and we just did this part, find the mean height. Right, so therefore this here is, we just work it out, the mean height was 135.5. All right, so why is the mean value calculated only an estimate of the true value? Right, because as stated before, when we were using the class midpoint, the midpoint only gives us an idea of the middle value for each of those classes, not the exact value. So therefore, those values are simply estimated values in terms of our calculation for our means. Okay, so what's the probability that a student selected at random is at least 121 centimeter tall? So we know one at least means 121 and more. So let's look at the table there. So in that question, 121 and more will be from this range of values from here to here. So remember, the total is 110 of them. And let's see how many is less. So it's 26 is less. So it means that 110 minus 26. Right, we borrow 1 from here. Right, 84 would be more than 121 and more. Right, so your answer for the first part, the probability if a student is selected at random, what is the probability that that person is at least 121 centimeters tall? So the answer there will be 84 divided by 110, right? So let's write that in. So you see, the probability here that the person is at least 121 centimeter tall will be 84 out of 110. Okay, and the last one, the probability that the person is at most 140 centimeter tall, that will be, let's see how many of them qualify and fall within that category. Okay. Let's go up to the table. 140 and more. At most 140. At most 140 means 140 and less. So we'll be looking at this group from here. 140 and less will be from here to here. So we simply add up all these numbers. Right, so let's add them. 8 and 18 is 26. 26 and 34 is 60. 60 and 12 is 72. 34 and 12 is 46. 46 and 18 is 64 and 8 is 72. So the probability there will be 72 out of 110. All right, let's write in that. Okay, so we have completed question number 2. Let's go to question number 3. So again, we given a similar table to complete. And we are asked to find, what are we asked to find? A number of interesting stuff, class, size, and so on. All right, so let's get the hard part out of the way. Let's complete this table by finding the midpoints. Remember how to find the midpoint, you add the two limits and you divide it by 2. So let's work that out. This first one would be 95.5. So I'm just going to write in, these are similar to what we had just now, 105.5, 115.5. So we see they are going up by 10, right? 125.5, 135.5, right? And 155.5. Okay, let's see what they ask us. For the interval 111 to 120, which is this one here, state the class size. Right, the class size is the same thing as the width of the class. To find the class size, you will take the upper class limit and you subtract from that the lower class limit. So the upper class limit would be 120 minus 111. Your answer will be 9. What is the lower class limit? We just stated it there. The lower class limit will be 111. What is the upper class boundary? Well, there is a difference between boundary and limit. To find the upper class boundary, you add 0.5 to the upper class limit. So let's do that. Upper class boundary is upper class limit plus 0.5. So the upper class limit there was 120, and if you add 0.5 to that, you're gonna get 120.5. Okay, so just as a form of revision, the lower class boundary will be a lower class limit minus 0.5. So if you ask to find the lower class boundary, let's say for this one, you will take the 141, which is the lower class limit, and you subtract 0.5, and that will be 140.5 as the lower class boundary. So you minus 0.5 to find the lower class boundaries, and you add 0.5 to find the upper class boundaries to the corresponding limits. Okay, so that takes care of part A. So we just completed the table for part B, and we are now asked to find, let's see what part C is asking. Right. Part C is asking us to find, copy, and complete the table. We did that. Right. So we are now asked to draw a frequency polygon. Right. So let's see how that works. When you join a frequency polygon, you are basically plotting your points. They tell us to use 2 centimeter to 10 kg on the horizontal and 2 centimeter to represent 2 persons on the vertical. Okay, so I did do an accurate plot of this. I'll show you after, but I had to adjust my scale here. So let's adjust it. I used 2 centimeter for 4 persons on the vertical to ensure that it fit. I'll show you the accurate drawing after, but let's just look at a sketch of what our answer should look like, and then we'll go to the accurate drawing. Okay, so each of these we're going to write. Let's go across a bit. Right, each of these we're going to write the actual midpoints we got for each of those groups there. Right, so the first one would be 95.5, second one 105.5, and so on. Third one 115.5, fourth one 125.5, then we have 135.5, then we have 145.5, then we have, let's go across a bit again. Right, let's go across. Right, then we have 155.5. Okay, so this horizontal axis represents our weight in kilograms. And the vertical would be our frequency. We're going up basically to 22. Let's go up in fours. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. And this is our frequency column here. Right. Right. So what we're doing, we are really plotting our points. So 95.5 corresponds to 10. So 10 will be midway here. 105.5 corresponds to 20. So that goes up somewhere here. 115.5, 22. So 22 will be fall just about here between 20 and 24. 125.5 corresponds to 10. That will take us, let's see, again right here, that's 10. Then we have 18 for 135.5. 18, that's about midway between 16 and 20, that's about here. And then we have 8 for 145.5. Well, 8 is about there. And 155.5, we got 12. 12 would be right smack there, right here. About it. Right, so the first part of drawing the frequency polygon would be you would connect your dots, right? Use your ruler, connect your dot, get straight lines as we drew them there, right? So your lines will be straight. Now, the point I wanted to show you on the sketch is that we need to take this, the ends, if you want to call it that, take it all the way down to the axis. Now, how do you do that? Notice we did say each of these went up by 10. So we need to bring this first point. We come back by 10. This will take us to 85.5. And we simply connect this straight down to this point here on the x-axis. And of course, if this is our representative of 0, we can put a little break here indicating that the distance from 0 to this first point, 85.5, is not the same as the scale we use here, which was going up by 10, right? So that's just a way of indicating that. Okay, let's look at the last point here. Again, this needs to come down to the x-axis here, which is the weight, and you go up again just one value more, which is the 165.5. Remember, we keep adding 10 to each of these. So after 155.5 will be 165.5. So that will be our final point. And that will give us the final frequency polygon. So I did say I drew it accurately on graph paper. So let's see what it should look like. I have it down here. And there you go. That's it. So, right, so notice you need to go back a bit so you see the full diagram properly drawn. Right, so there you go. Notice how in the diagram you see how at the end of it, it's extended all the way down. Right, as shown here, it's extended all the way down. Right, so let me highlight it for you instead. Right, this could work. Right. So notice how it's highlighted all the way down to the axis here, which I just showed you. This line as well as this line here. all the way down to the axis. And notice this is your 165.5 and this is your 85.5. So that's your frequency polygon. So that will take us to the end of our tutorial on statistics. I hope you had a great time, just as I did explaining the solutions to you. So until we meet again, remember, as the word of God says, I have told you this so that my joy may be in you and that your joy may be complete. So I pray the joy of the Lord over you and your household. Take care until we meet again. Bye for now.